Good morning, one and all. Thank you for joining once again the Wealth Guardians radio program. And, of course, we have Brice with me today as well. And, Brice, how you doing?
Well, I'm a little bit richer, Doug.
Yeah, you are. You are. I hope everybody had a chance to watch that charity match with Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, Phil Mickelson, and Tom Brady. It was a hoot. And Brice made me a very friendly wager. He, of course, took Tiger and Peyton, but it's for $20. And I was going to take Phil anyway because I'm a big Phil fan. Well, I lost. And because Tom Brady couldn't play golf with a hoop. He had one shot.
If Belichick had been coaching him, maybe he would have done okay.
Oh, my gosh.
But without Belichick.
I could have made the shots he made.
Yeah, really. I could have as well, some of them.
So I didn't welch on my bet. I brought Brice his $20. And Brice, how did I pay you off?
Did you really bring me $20, though, Doug? The verdict is still out on that. So, folks, what Doug did was he brought me an old jar, which looks to have a lead cap top to it, and a couple of Ziploc baggies full of old pennies and nickels. And I held them up. I felt it was a little light. I think he was trying to get off with around $18.75, more or less, of a payment rather than $20. But they were old pennies and nickels, most of them wheats, though I did see a couple of 1979s or so in there as well, Doug, but that's all right. A lot of Indian head pennies in there, which I enjoyed looking at, and even found two Buffalo head nickels and two Liberty head nickels in there as well. And I haven't even gotten to the jar yet. But the thing I liked the best about it was that, folks, Doug was kind of being cocky with how he was going to pay me back. And he was bringing the bag out of his trunk, and one of the bags breaks in his trunk. So now he's got to clean out his trunk. So I haven't even received all of the wagers yet.
I got about 200 more to give you.
But I think that's pretty nice right there. I wish I could get a picture of that. What are we talking about here today?
Well, today
Doug?
we're gonna start the segment. I think we got a good show for everybody. We're going to start the segment out today with kind of a current event. Let's bring you up on the week's details. Might as well start now. You know, the market's had a nice run, up over 25,000 on the Dow, in the face of what appears to be really horrid economic numbers. I mean, we came out this week with 2.1 million more people filing for unemployment. That brings us a total of 40 million folks out of work. American Airlines announced a huge reduction in force. So did Delta. Currently, we're at a 14.7% unemployment rate, and that's expected to go higher by the time they tabulate May's results next month. GDP's down 5%, we found out this week, versus a 4.8% estimate. And, Brice, I'll be honest with you, in light of what everything's gone on, I think that's pretty doggone good. Durable goods orders fell 17.2%. So for you folks, durable goods is things that you buy that last a while, like refrigerators, automobiles, those kinds of heavy type high dollar purchases. So that's obviously not a good sign. We've been blessed this year. We've been very successful with our clients, bringing on board new folks who anticipate retiring. And one of the things that has hit us slap dab stark in the face this past couple months is a lot more people have been forced to retire. They had plans to retire, but maybe it was 2, 3, 4 years down the road. But all of a sudden, they got the word that, hey, you're done. One of the industries that's been hit specifically hard is the airline industry. Whether you're on the carrier side or the manufacturing side, that industry is hurting. And on the manufacturing side, we have a healthy component of folks in the Triad area that work in that industry. And we want to tell you a little story about a new client of ours who came to us because he found himself in that very reason. And Brice, since you've worked with him most, I'm going to let you kind of tell his story.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. This really might hit home for a lot of people out there because, we'll call him Robert. He came to us about 2 months ago. He thought he had pretty well planned out when he was going to retire and what retirement was going to look like. He had an idea in his head of when he was going to file for Social Security. He had enough funds put aside to where he could live off of his own assets for a few years after the paycheck stopped and let Social Security grow at that 8% a year before he took it up until age 70. That's a huge asset for somebody if they can afford to do that. And because he works in the airline industry, he was starting to get word that jobs are not safe there at his particular employer. Some people were leaving, some people were getting separation offers and whatnot. So he came to us ahead of time, which is good. I encourage anybody to do that. If you're in a particular field or a job or with an employer that you think you're now second guessing how stable that job is, how stable your career with that company or in that industry is, you would really rather have the answers sooner than later on what retirement could look like for you if it was forced on you a little bit sooner than what you had anticipated. And that's exactly what Robert did. He came to us and said, look, here's what I've got. Here's my assets. Here's my expense needs in retirement. I was planning on working for a few more years. My wife, her hours have been cut down a little bit. I'm not even 65 yet. I'm not even close to 65 yet. So if my wife's hours are cut down substantially and I lose my job or have to take a separation package, I've got to cover myself medically for a few years before Medicare kicks in. I need some answers here, guys. This is what you do, as we understand, and it is exactly what we do. So he heard us on the radio, just like you're hearing us on the radio now. He came to us, and after a couple of meetings, we started running some numbers for him and created a financial plan. The good news is, under the worst case scenario, Doug, he's only 59 right now, and he had planned on working until about 62, 65, somewhere in there. But now it might be that retirement is going to be upon him at age 59, or he'll be 60 here shortly, so 60. We ran some numbers for him, and even in the worst case scenario, should his wife's income stop this year, and should his income stop this year, we took a look at his assets, what kind of income he could generate off of them based on the risk that he felt like taking or didn't feel like taking, and we've got a workable plan for him. The key is that it is not workable in the way that his assets are currently designed. He would run out of money pretty quickly in retirement that way. However, when we restructured it and made some recommendations and showed him the pros and cons of those recommendations, we stretched his money out to age 90 for him, which was just fine with him because nobody in his family, on the men on his side of his family, have ever lived to 90. So he's just fine with that. And the nice thing is that still enabled us to let him suspend Social Security until age 70. So he do still have enough income if his wife works for one more year, and he didn't. Not that that's what they want to do or planning on doing, but in that worst case scenario, he's still going to be okay. The thing is, he wouldn't have had these answers. He wouldn't have known. He wouldn't have had that come away from our meetings with a peace of mind knowing, look, I don't want to stop working, but if I have to, I'm not going to be destitute. I'm not going to lose my house. I'm not going to be out on the street. I'm not going to have to take a job somewhere that is not in my long-term career field. So it worked out well for him, but he wouldn't have had the answers and he wouldn't have had that restructuring conversation with us had he not come to us. And so I know, Doug, and you know this as well, he is not alone out there. There are a lot of other people out there who are listening to this show right now who somewhere in the back of your mind, I don't know if we're just on as background noise to you or if you're actually listening to everything that we're saying, but somewhere in there you're hearing, I'm not now 100% certain that my job and my career is as safe as I thought it was a couple of months ago. I had anticipated on working 4 more years. Now I'm not 100% sure if that's in the picture. Folks, if that's you, you can do exactly what Robert did and give us a call and come in and talk to us and let us take a look at your current assets. Let us take a look at how you're structured and see if we can make some recommendations. Even if we can't give you the best news in the world, you would rather know what that news is than not know it and just kind of put the blinders on, Doug.
Yeah, please, folks, if you find yourself in this position, come on in, give us a call. Let's go through the work together and figure this out. Don't make a mistake now. It's 336-391-3409, 336-391-3409, and we welcome your call. Brice, I think you got a trivia question.
I do have a trivia question for us, Doug, and also I'd like to add that, folks, even if you're one of those ones out there that still wants to or feels the need to social distance, we can do and have been doing many of our clients' meetings virtually. You don't have to step out of your comfort zone or even leave the comfort of your own couch. Set up your computer. We can do a go-to meeting with you and conduct these entire planning process with you virtually online, so that it's just as easy as that. But I do have a trivia question for you. And this time, Doug, I've decided to make it not related to what's going on in the world out there or finances or all of that. We got coming up here in 2 weeks, one of the greatest musicians of all time's birthday, Paul McCartney, born June 18th. Do you know how old he's going to be this year, Doug? Take a guess. I know you don't know, but take a guess.
80?
Yeah, very close, very close. He's going to be 78.
Okay.
He's going to be 78 this year. That is great that he is still around and making music. I had the privilege of seeing him once, just an outstanding musician. So the Beatles, obviously everyone knows who they are. They actually got their start with just John, Paul, and George before Ringo joined the band. And they had a different name. They were not known as the Beatles then. They had a different name. They never recorded under that name. Or actually, I take that back. I think there is a single recorded, if I'm not mistaken. Never put an album out under that name. But they were only in their teens at that point. Amazing. Trivia question is, what was the name of that band before Ringo joined? And we will leave it at that, and we will come back to you after this break and give you the answer to that trivia question, and then talk to you some more about what it is we do here at the Wealth Guardians. Stay tuned, folks.
Thanks for listening to The Wealth Guardians Show. Remember, if you need any help with crafting your financial and retirement plan, to reach out to the great team at Wealth Guardians by calling 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Or go online to thewealthguardians.com.
And welcome back to the Wealth Guardians radio show. I'm Brice Payne here in the studio with Doug Ray. Thank you for sticking around for the break here, and I know the reason that you stuck around is you wanted the answer to that trivia question, but I do want to remind everyone out there that the reason that we're here is we do retirement planning. And anyone out there who is 5 to 7 years from retirement and you want to confirm that you're making the best decision for retirement, well, we offer a no-cost, no-obligation second review of you and your portfolio to help you see if you can retire the job and keep the paycheck. And especially in these times right now, if that retiring the job might be coming sooner than what you had anticipated because of everything that's going on out there, then it's more important than ever that you pick up that phone and give us a call at 336-391-3409. Folks, we don't bite. We are happy to sit down with you and just provide you the answers that you might be looking for on what retirement might look like for you.
I'll add this, Brice. That includes anybody who's already retired.
That's true.
Doesn't hurt to get a second opinion.
That's true. That's true. That's what we've been doing all this time anyway. Mm-hmm. So now, Doug, usually at the beginning of our show, we give a shout out to all of those first responders and our men and women and veterans in the military and all of those people out there who are putting their health and their lives on the line so that we can have the freedoms that we enjoy here in this country, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And unfortunately, we were so eager to get on the air here in the studio this morning that we zipped right past that part. So we want to stop right now and just remind everybody out there that if you are one of those people who have served our country in any capacity like that, and if you're a listener who you haven't served, but your family member has, your loved one, your spouse, your son, your father, and you've given up some of that time for them so that they can serve the country, well, we want to thank you. And your service and your sacrifice does not go unappreciated right here at the Wealth Guardians. So thank you very much. Now, when we went into break, I asked a trivia question. We've got Paul McCartney's birthday coming up here soon. He'll be 78, one of the greatest recording artists of all times, one of my favorites. The stuff he did with the Wings was absolutely brilliant, in my opinion. Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and John Lennon actually formed a band with another guy, Pete Best, before Ringo Starr joined in, and they had a different name that they were performing under. And trivia question was, what was that name? It wasn't the Beatles. Doug, do you know it?
I thought I did, but I don't think I do now.
Okay, it is called the Quarrymen.
The Quarrymen.
The Quarrymen, which I don't know where they got that, but that's what they were known as. And then the funny thing that happened, well, I think it's funny from Ringo Starr's point of view, Richard Starkey's point of view, but not Pete Best's point of view, was that they were doing a show one night, and Ringo and his band had performed earlier, and Pete Best, the drummer, couldn't show up. He was sick. And so they said, hey, Ringo, do you, from this other band, do you want to fill in for us? We need a drummer tonight. So he did, and history was made at that moment. They decided that they liked Ringo. He was a better fit for the band than Pete Best. And that was probably the most costly illness that anyone has ever suffered. Anyway, he's still out there, from my understanding, recording and touring with his little bands, but it wasn't the Beatles. So, Pete, our hats off to you as well. And Ringo, you got lucky, my friend.
Well, life takes its twists and turns, and that was certainly a big twist for him.
It sure does.
Folks, if you were listening to our first segment, we were talking about a real-life new client of ours who was working in the aviation industry, was planning on working another 2 or 3 years, and then with what's happened here in the last couple of months and in the aviation industry, found himself retired. So I thought what we'd do is kind of carry that thought process forward a little bit more. And in this segment, let's talk about retirement or income planning mistakes.
Ah, good one. Okay.
Now, the first one I got here, and we do this all the time, do not plan to be retired for years. Plan to be retired for decades.
That's true.
Now, that might have surprised some of you, but listen, folks, it is not uncommon for people to be in retirement 20 and 30 years. Every written retirement income plan that Brice and I do for you, our goal is to make sure we get you through age 100, maintaining your standard of living without running out of money. That is so important because you've got to account for inflation and all that. You've got to account for future health care expenses. So count on living in retirement for decades.
And Doug, I'll add to that, people will think, oh, well, I've got Social Security coming in. That's going to last as long as I do, so I'll be fine. Social Security only replaces about 40% of your paycheck. Additionally, Social Security is not solvent for all eternity. When Social Security first started in the 20s, your life expectancy then was much shorter. It was only really intended to last you for about 10, maybe 15 years, because life expectancy was shorter then. Well, now we are living a lot longer. And so Social Security is not a cure-all. As long as you're getting that, you're going to be fine in retirement. That is not the case.
Well, and that brings us to point number 2 about planning mistakes. And I think too many people do this, and that's start their Social Security too soon.
Yes.
We always do a complete Social Security optimization report and embed it in that written retirement income plan for you. And it's built specifically for you and your spouse. Not everybody has the same Social Security planning strategy in place. There's multiple strategies.
There's multiple ways to file for Social Security. And Doug, I'll also add that a lot of people will get confused when they come in here and sit down with us. They will use the term interchangeably. When am I going to retire? They think that means when am I going to file for Social Security?
Yeah, they do.
Those are two very different dates that we don't want to conflate. When you retire is not necessarily the same time or the same situation of when you're going to file for Social Security. It can be in most cases, but it does not have to be, and it is not necessarily in your best interest for it to be. So let us help you figure that aspect of things out.
Almost every situation we've seen, it behooves the retiree to turn their benefits on as late as possible. That is counterintuitive logic to most people. So we need to show you that in black and white. Now let's talk about this next one. This is important too. Don't assume bonds will be the main source of retirement income. Folks, this is a pet peeve of Brice and mine because so many Wall Street retirement portfolios are built around 50% or even 60% of the portfolio being in bonds. Well, look, everybody out here realizes interest rates are rock bottom. You can't get a 10-year treasury over 0.75% right now, which means you can't get a AAA corporate bond much higher than 1%. That's no income at all. And then in a bond portfolio, you have a double-edged sword built into it. When this economy gets going again, and it will, I promise you that, interest rates are going to go up. And as interest rates go up, guess what happens to that bond portfolio of yours?
They drop in value.
It goes down. Absolutely. We have a plan for that. It's a bond replacement portfolio. My guess is that you can probably identify with some of the stories we've shared with you on today's show, or maybe there's a particular question we covered that kind of struck a chord. Perhaps we didn't even cover something that you have on your mind right now. You got a burning financial question and you're wondering if we can help.
Yeah, if any of these things are true, anything that we've talked about today, I really want to encourage you to give us a call right now. We love hearing from our listeners, and maybe one of you out there just has a simple question, and sometimes we end up being able to help you put together that full-blown financial plan. But we're here to help you gain more confidence in your financial plan. But you have to be one of those ones that starts the conversation. We can't reach out to you. You've got to reach out to us.
So go ahead and give us a call right now. Leave a voicemail while it's on your mind. Let us know you're interested in having a complimentary financial review. We'll call you back on Monday morning to schedule that visit. And when you come in, here's what you can expect. In addition to us spending some time getting to know each other, we're going to analyze your current portfolio. We're going to run a free report to see what your plan is costing you. We'll analyze inflation's impact on your plan, not just today, but 20 and 30 years down the road. And if you haven't considered the impact of taxes on your retirement, we're going to make sure your new plan takes the possibility of likely rising taxes in the future very seriously. This is how you can get a much more accurate look at your financial and retirement health. And it's how you get answers to those burning questions that are currently on your mind. Now, Brice, he's going to tell you how to get in touch, and we cannot wait to visit you soon.
Yeah, all you got to do is pick up the phone. Our phone number is 336-391-3409. I'll give that to you again. It's 336-391-3409. Or you can get your free second opinion review online at thewealthguardians.com. All you got to do is click the blue button. Now, Doug, we were talking just a minute ago about mistakes that people are making in retirement. One of the other mistakes that I think is particularly common right now is people have been taught to a certain degree, don't trade or don't move your portfolio once you're in a dip. Wait until you come out of the dip before you move. And I think that has some people right now scared to, if they've lost 10%, or maybe you're sticking at around 20%. It's not uncommon for people out there right now to be 20% down. And they're saying, I am not going to make any changes. I'm not going to call out to any advisor or do any moves or even think about planning at this stage of the game, because I'm in a 10% dip right now and I've got to recover my gains back before I do that. Folks, I don't want you to get confused. Yes, it is true that if you have a portfolio that is in a loss stage right now and you sell everything and move into cash, yes, you are realizing the gains at that point, and that might not be in your best interest. The reason that's not in your best interest is because people tend to sit in cash until their portfolio would have recovered, and then that's when they feel comfortable that the market is headed in the right direction. That is not what we are encouraging you to do. We are not saying to anybody, move into cash right now and wait until things are better before you go back into the market. I don't want you to delay your planning strategy, because there are ways to change up your portfolio right now, even though that you're in a dip, that'll help you protect yourself from further market losses, because Doug and I firmly believe that we are not necessarily done with this market downturn yet. It could turn down even more. And you can protect yourself while still having yourself in a position to climb with the market should the market turn back around. And so do not use this as an excuse to not pick up the phone when you otherwise might. That is not a reason to sit there on the sidelines and say, I've got to wait for a few more weeks or months until I've recovered before I think about reaching out to any advisor. Doug?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate those thoughts, folks. If you come to us and implement our plans, if the market continues up, you're going to go up. But if the market continues to go down, you got stop losses in places to stop the bleeding. And remember, in retirement, losses mean more than gains.
That's very true. All right, folks, 336-391-3409 is our phone number, 336-391-3409. Doug and I wish you the best the rest of this weekend, and we hope to see you right back here next weekend. Take care and stay safe.
Thanks for listening to The Wealth Guardian Show. Remember, if you need any help with crafting your financial and retirement plan, to reach out to the great team at Wealth Guardians by calling 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Or go online to thewealthguardians.com.